Okay, I believe now we're live. So nothing has been. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to see if this. I'm going to get the hang of this here soon. You'll be able to comment after going live. Nothing has been created on Facebook.
All right.
We're going to wait. Okay. Let's see.
Does it show on here somewhere who's in there? Or?
Well, it'll show at the top, I think. It'll start to show when people come on. And then as they comment, it will show us. So
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, yeah. It's on now. So let's see.
Yeah, it shows live up in the top left corner of my screen.
Yeah. Okay, good. So now we're starting to get in here, send in messenger. Hi guys. So I don't know who's on here. That's the only thing I don't necessarily love about this is it doesn't show us who's watching us so we can talk to them. But I'm super excited. So here is our second episode. I'm really excited to introduce my friend Mike over here. This is this is really cool. Mike has a different approach to recovery, and he's done some really cool, amazing things. So we're going to get on here and kind of let him explain a couple of things. But before we do that, we're just going to kind of chop it up for a second while we get some viewers on here. Mike, what is and then we'll start to share just about what you do. And I want to definitely, I think there's a lot of people in the world who don't even know what it means to be in the harm reduction industry and what a harm reductionist is. And so I'm excited to have you on here because there's a lot of really good info. I think sometimes we in recovery get naive to a lot of things. Our minds we're really in the box. And so I'm really excited about this episode tonight to be able to share about who you are and share your story. For those of you guys who are going to watch this from the beginning, this is Mike Brown. He will tell you a little bit about himself here in a minute. He's from Michigan, and he created, is it a nonprofit?
No, it's just a bunch of people that volunteer to try to help save some lives.
Yeah, well, I'm excited because it's pretty popular here in Utah. I mean, I think for a while now.
Yeah, we have a Utah chapter.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of when it first started, we had a couple of our friends that we used to work with, just people that were volunteering for it, and then it got bigger, and then I think, and we'll talk about that more as we start to get into that part, but about what it is.
Amazing how fast it got huge. It just amazed me how quick that took off.
Yeah, I know. When I heard about it, I was like, how's that going to work? And I didn't know if it was going to go anywhere. And it did. It went a lot of where. And there's a lot of people who are really excited about it. And so there's a lot of really good stuff. So let me ask you this just before we get into your story, because this is like the magic question everybody wants to know. What is, so you're in what part of Michigan are you in?
Midland.
Midland, where's that at?
If you're looking at the mid, it's right in there, right in the middle, basically.
All right. For a really long time, I had this, I don't know if it's an obsession, or just this, not obsession, but I thought I was destined to be in Michigan. And I had a friend who ended up moving there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what is supposed to be happening. I'm supposed to be in Michigan. And it didn't work out. And then I had friends who lived there. And I was like, oh my gosh, here's that little moment again. I'm supposed to be there.
Beautiful. Yeah, I just moved up here about 14 months ago or something, a little over a year ago.
Oh, nice. Where are you originally from?
Tennessee.
Oh, nice. Which part?
McMinnville. It's right in between Chattanooga and Nashville.
Oh, nice. I know some people in Chattanooga. In fact, my friend that lived in Kalamazoo just moved to Chattanooga.
Oh, cool.
So you guys just missed each other because it was about that same time. Cool. Well, what's it been like? How is COVID up there for you? Is it like
we've got all the mask mandate, and they're taking it pretty serious up here, but it's crazy. The government is fighting against our governor somehow. I don't understand. They're saying she didn't have the power to make the decisions that she made, and so they reversed a lot of her decisions and added a lot more things, and it's so confusing up here.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad.
What are the numbers like there?
Honestly, I don't know where we're at anymore. I've stopped paying attention to it. I go back and forth on as to whether, is it as serious as they say it is? Are they blowing it up? Is there an ulterior motive? Well, I go back and forth. I don't know what to think about anymore.
I stopped watching the news.
Yeah, it's real and people are dying from it, but I don't want to catch it. I know that.
Yeah.
I wear my mask and socially distance and all that, but doing what they tell me to do.
Yeah, I'm a rule follower. Like, I've never really been a rule breaker. I mean, even in my addiction, like, you have those people who are like, the anti-maskers who just don't want to whatever, and that's why the world goes the way it goes. But I'm a rule follower. If you tell me to wear a mask, I wear the mask. I do what I'm told.
Yeah, I'm not much into the rules. Never have been, but I'd probably be fine if I caught it. But I've got people here in the house that wouldn't be, so gotta watch out for myself. Watch out for them.
Yeah, it's scary. It's definitely scary. Well, that's rad. Like, I love Tennessee. I have another part of me that feels like Tennessee's where I'm supposed to land. So who knows where things in my life are going to be. But let's get into. Let's have you tell us a little bit about you. Again, you guys, this is Mike. He's going to kind of tell a little bit about who he is and share his story and what's been working for him. And then he's got a group that he's created called Never Use Alone. And he'll talk about that and how it's actually really, it's beautiful. So, I mean, let's start out with this. So what does it mean to be a harm reductionist?
Basically, you're meeting people where they're at. That's our motto. If they're if they're still using, or if they're not ready to quit, don't want to quit, whatever. We're here for you. We're going to make you safe and as healthy, keep you as healthy as possible. I run the syringe exchange here in Midland. Anybody using drugs can come in, bring in the rigs, and we'll give them more. We do Hep C HIV testing. I just got certified as a nationally certified phlebotomist last month. But we do Hep C HIV testing, syringe exchange, Narcan distribution, fentanyl test strips, tourniquets, safer snorting supplies, basically anything that somebody might share or use to reverse an overdose or prevent an overdose. It's it's an interesting job, especially being in recovery, being around people that are actively using. I mean, they don't really use around me, but they come in telling the stories, and it can be tricky at times, really. For me, anyway. I know a lot of people. I wouldn't suggest this. Definitely not for somebody early in recovery. Would not suggest it. I mean, there's a lot of triggers involved, and I don't think it'd be safe for somebody really early in recovery.
Yeah.
But, it's a really rewarding thing. I mean, you get to, literally save lives and keep people alive and healthy, and until they're ready to quit. When they're ready, we can help them. We can refer them to treatment programs throughout the country. If they're obviously here in Michigan, we can get them anywhere they need to go. If we find out they have HIV or Hep C, we can get them treatment for that too. I mean, it's really nice. I like doing this job. It's like my dream job. I love it.
Nice. How long have you been doing harm reduction?
About 2 years now. I've been in recovery for 3.5 years, but last 2 years, got into harm reduction. And the first year of my recovery, I started doing treatment resources, where if somebody was looking for help, I was able to refer them refer them to treatment facilities that take people with no insurance or state insurance. I've got a huge resource file that I've been building that has a list of all these different places throughout the country that'll take people with no insurance or state insurance. So I started doing that, but then I kind of started seeing how shady the treatment center industry is, and I didn't want to be a part of that. I mean, if somebody comes to me for help, I'll help them. I just didn't want to be really involved with the treatment center industry.
Yeah.
Lots of shady folks there.
I wanted to. So my story, for this part of my story, is a little similar to yours, because my first year in recovery, different from you. I mean, I hid at home, and I was so afraid to go out into the real world because I'd relapsed. So chronic relapser. I was never worked a program. I just used all the time, and 3 months here, 10 months here. I hung out with all the same old friends, and I would, every time nobody was looking, I'd take a little piece of dope and I'd eat it because I wasn't getting high with them. But you can't. You go to the barbershop enough times, you get your hair cut.
Right. Yep.
But I started wanting to work in the treatment industry, and I did the same thing. Like I was, the reason we created BAM was originally I had started doing as you did. I got really into helping people all throughout the United States. And finally, I realized, oh my goodness, I should be helping people here in my community. Like these people here need me as much as everybody else does. But I started to learn about all the advocates out there and the treatment centers and the slow hustle. And it's not just there that they're doing that. It was like, hi, my son is a heroin addict. He needs help. Can you just send me the insurance number?
Yeah, front and back the card.
And and if they don't have you learn really quick that if they don't have insurance, they say they're going to help you on Facebook, but they never respond back to that call. And
all those recovery gurus are just frauds, basically.
Yeah, that was my experience too, which was why we started, doing the things that we're doing. That's cool, because a lot of people are, when a family member is looking to get their loved one help, that's a big deal. It's an emotional experience. By the time somebody finally reaches out, usually that means that there's been a lot of, family trauma and hard situations. And because of stigma, people are afraid to ask for help. And so, you probably get a lot of shamed a lot, and they're not a lot, but for being a harm reductionist, people don't understand. People fear what they don't get.
Yeah, and I don't understand why the abstinence programs and the harm reduction is why we can't come together and make it all work. I mean, we're going to keep them alive until they get to you. You keep them alive from there. We're going to do this together. We don't have to be at war. I don't know why they do it. It's just mind-boggling to me when I see somebody that's a 12-step program bashing harm reduction. I just blows my mind that they say we're encouraging drug use. Well, no, but we I don't know. I don't want to bash anybody, but we don't have to be at odds here. I mean, we're all trying to do the same thing. We just want people to live better lives, and we're keeping them alive till they do, and then they can try and figure it out after we get them there. So we just need to work together to do it.
Well, and I think people fear harm reduction because they're thinking you're advocating for them to stay using, but they're going to be using no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter if you're there or not. And all you're doing is helping. I've learned so much just through harm reduction. Like, I didn't know you could get Hep C from a bottle of water. Like, I just was naive to that. And so being out there and educating and helping people to keep it safe so the spread of diseases isn't as intense is huge. But people fear what they don't understand. And, if we can't be out there planting seeds to those people who are using, they're never going to know there's options to get
If
better.
if you say you've got a guy here who's using drugs, and you've got a guy over here who's an abstinence program, he's talking about people using MAT, he's doing all that, and then you got the harm reductionist here. If this guy's going to be using anyway, he's not going to go hide from that guy that was just trashing drug users. He's going to go hide from that guy. He's going to be in an alley somewhere behind a dumpster, and he's going to overdose and die. But the harm reductionist is going to say, "Man, I don't care if you're using or not. That's up to you. When you're ready to quit, that's great. But until then, let's sit you over here, get you some Narcan, some test strips. Does it have fentanyl in it? Yes. All right. Well, and we really need safe consumption sites, but here in the U.S. But until we do, I've got my thing going on that they can use. But if we accept everybody, so they don't have to hide, they don't have to be shamed, they're not judged. They're human, they're people, and we want to keep them alive. So, but
What
they're
have
not
you
going
found?
to. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I said they're not going to be as open and honest about their problems with somebody who is preaching at them, or shaming them, judging them. Obviously they're not going to be open about that and feel comfortable coming to them for help. So we just accept people where they're at.
Yeah. What have you found? How long have you been using the fentanyl testing strips?
See, I just got into harm reduction Michigan in last December.
So have
So
you
that's when
been
I
using them for
connected
that
to
long?
it. I'm
We
sorry?
just got them out. We just got the fentanyl testing strips out here over the summer. So it's been.
It's amazing to me that they're illegal in some states.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Crazy.
we were going to ship summer ago. I was going to send Narcan to a friend because I was easily accessible for me here, and they can't get it there. And then she said, "Oh wait, never mind. If I get caught with it, then I'm going to get it's a class A or C or something." And I was just like, "Oh my goodness!" It baffled me, but
Yeah.
that's because here we've got the blanket prescription, so it's not anything for here. So hopefully,
That's amazing to me. I knew about the fentanyl test strips being illegal in places. I think Pennsylvania is one of the states where it's considered paraphernalia.
yeah.
How the hell is paraphernalia? I mean, you're not. I don't get that, but yeah, they're illegal in some places. But I didn't know that in some. Well, actually, yeah, South Carolina. I think they said that you can be charged with. I forget what the charge was, but if you have naloxone or Narcan without a prescription, that you can be charged for it. That's just
Mind
that
blowing.
ridiculousness in our government there.
Yeah.
Yeah, mind blowing is a good word for it.
Yeah, mind blowing. Mind blowing. So we know that you guys have did that. That's good. Like we've got a lot of groups. I mean, you're kind of familiar, I think, with Utah a little bit. I don't even know. I feel like you're from Utah. Must be because you have so many of us that use
Right.
never used alone. But we're really blessed in Salt Lake and Salt Lake County. We've got really good recovery. I mean, there's so many groups out there advocating, and we have like 5 or 6 different groups doing needle exchange right now and harm reduction. I mean, it's and more coming, because it's just something, and maybe it's a Utah thing that people are just so kind and nice and loving and
Right.
just want to do it. But everybody wants to save the people here. So that's been nice here. Let's take a minute. What?
The more people we have, the better.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's it. One person might, relate, or one group can relate to a crowd, and the others just might not like them. And if you're not there today, those guys still need it tomorrow because most people are using that little 10-pack of needles you're giving them in the same day. So once a week isn't enough. You know the drill.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'm excited to kind of have you tell us a little bit about your story.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's important to know about my story is that where it all started, and I hope my dad's not watching this because I hate talking about this with my dad. But um, it when I was 6 years old, I got there. I had an accident, and I ended up with a glass eye, and that kind of, if you can imagine being 6 years old in school with an eye that's messed up, these kids are brutal.
Mm.
And so I grew up having to either fight or just walk away, and I'm not real good at that walking away thing. But these kids were brutal, man. So I just grew up thinking I was a piece of shit. I was different, and it was awful. So I guess I was about 10. I was 10, yeah, when I drank for the first time, and got drunk. Everything was roses, and it was all just beautiful then. And so I got to drinking, and then about, I think I was 12 years old. I came home, got busted drinking again. Walked in the house, like knocked the Christmas tree over, and so my parents had me arrested. They thought that would help. So they had me arrested, and I was sentenced. I was sentenced to go to like underage drinking classes. Well, it was during a break on those underage drinking classes that I smoked a joint for the first time. So obviously the classes weren't the greatest idea. But anyway, so I got into smoking the weed and kind of found my crowd where I thought I fit in. So I ran with it. Just started smoking, then a little more, and do a little acid, a little cocaine, a little mushrooms, a little this, a little that. Um, it all progressed pretty quickly. But I was always able to walk away. I could abuse and use all the powerful drugs, have a great time with them, and then walk away without a problem. But and it's important to mention that until I was 24, I thought I was allergic to opiates. So when I had a bunch of surgeries on my eye, and took codeine or something for pain. I don't remember what it was, but it made me throw up like crazy. Just throwing up all over the place. So I thought I was allergic to opiates. So I never used pills. And when I was 24, I had a real bad toothache, and I got a couple of hydros to for the pain. And I thought, well, fuck it. If it makes me puke, it makes me puke. I don't care. I got to get some for this pain. So I took a couple of those and got that warm feeling. It was
Mm-hmm.
on from there. It was on. But I was always able to walk away from every other drug pretty easily. I mean, yeah, I was able to walk away, but with the opiates, I couldn't walk away. I try to say, well, I'm done. I can't do this, and this is horrible. Then I'd find myself low crawling through my dad's bedroom in the dark, trying to steal pills out of his bottle. You know, crawling, crawling. We do a lot of bad shit when on those pills, but I think that's a lot of the people don't understand that there's a huge difference in, let's say, a person that uses cocaine versus a person that uses opiates. That cocaine or the meth, that with the withdrawal isn't physical. You just sleep with that, and but that opiate withdrawal, for those of you that've been through it, you know. But there's a huge difference, and I didn't know that. I didn't know. Like I said, I always thought I was allergic to them. But anyway, I got into eating those pills, and I got up to eating. I was probably eating 40 a day when a girlfriend introduced me to shooting Dilaudid. It was Christmas Eve 2006, I want to say, maybe. So I don't know, somewhere right in there. But it was Christmas or New Year's Eve. Um, she said apparently she had been shooting them behind my back, and I didn't know it. But she had been shooting them, and I guess she figured if she got me to shoot one, she wouldn't have to hide it anymore. So uh, shot that Dilaudid and was in love all over again. So where I was living in Tennessee, those things are really, really, really expensive. But I found out about morphine. You can shoot that, and it'll do you pretty good. But we didn't really have too much heroin where I was. And, kind of in the middle of everything. We didn't have too much, and when it did come around, it was just crazy expensive. So nobody really did it. I couldn't afford to even stay well on with that way it was. But I got Suboxone for 3 years, I think, and I did really well on it. Did really well. Then I got kicked off for smoking a joint. They kicked me out of the program for smoking a joint, and that's a ridiculous thing to me because addiction is the only illness that we kick people out of for displaying that they need that treatment. They go to a Suboxone clinic or they go to a methadone clinic, and they go there with a problem, and they're asking this doctor to help. Well, then they smoke a joint or they drink a beer or something stupid, and they get kicked out for it. They go in there, and the moment they display that they do have this problem, and they use again, they kick them out. It's ridiculous. I mean, weed's legal in a lot of states. I don't get that. I mean, it's totally legal up here. You can do whatever. But anyway, I did this Suboxone for about 3.5 years, and it worked really well for me. I was doing great. But that was about the time when I got kicked off. It was about the time that I was with the girl that introduced me to Dilaudid. So that was just another horrible decision in my story. But I got had a friend that was said he and his wife were sick, begged me, sell him a couple of Suboxone. And I kept telling him, man, these are gold to me. I can't, man. He's begging me. I can't, man. I don't tell him. Beg me. Finally broke me down. So I go and sell him a couple of Suboxone. And the son of a bitch was wearing a wire. He had gotten a petty theft and a DUI, and was trying to work his way out of it. And he got 10 of us that day. But so now I'm a convicted felon because I sold a guy 2 Suboxone when I felt bad for him.
Oh,
Yeah, that was real nice of him. He ended up getting hit by a car and killed a couple of years later.
it's horrible.
I had nothing to do with it. But, I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't there. But and throughout all this, I had periods where I would go to the rooms, go to 12-step programs, because I didn't know any different. I didn't know that there were other options. I didn't know. If you've got an addiction problem, you go to AA or you go to NA. That's just what you do. And so I'm doing that. And I went to an AA meeting one night, and I've never considered myself an alcoholic, but I went to not in my older years anyway. I had problematic drinking when I was a lot younger. But so I went to an AA meeting one night, and it's an old timer in there. And after the meeting, I told him, I don't know if I should be here or not. I said, I don't drink. He said, well, maybe you ought to just go find one of those NA meetings. He told me not to come back. So then that just pushed me out of that, turned me off to all that for a long time.
Sure.
Then a little while later, I go back. I found an NA meeting. We didn't have any in the town I was living in. But then somebody finally started one. So I found NA, started going to that program for a while, and I'd get a couple of months abstinent. I'd be doing all right, meeting good people, doing things, and trying to live life right. Well, then I'd smoke a joint or I'd drink a beer. And in the rooms, they're telling me, well, shit, you've already failed. You got to start all over. And, in my mind, and this happens with a lot of people in abstinence-based programs, you're telling somebody that they failed and they've thrown it all away and they got to start all over a joint. And sorry, I saw my mom's comment.
I know.
Love you, Mom. You'd you'd smoke a joint, you'd drink a beer, and they'd tell you, well, you screwed it all up, you got to start all over. Well, hell, if I got to start all over, I'm going to do what the hell I want to do, and I'd end up with a needle in my arm. That shit damn near killed me. Abstinence programs, and I'm all for whatever works for anybody. I'm not going to bash any pathway, but I think we need to be kind of relax on the, especially the weed. I mean, I know a lot of people that were saved by weed, including myself. Um, 3.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I finally decided, I've tried the meditation is impossible for me the way my brain works. It just doesn't, I can't do it. Therapy, tried that. Suboxone, tried that. NA, tried that. Rehabs, outpatient, um, psych meds. I've tried everything I could think to try. And I always kind of like, I was like weed. So I thought, why don't I just smoke weed? So that's what I did. I smoked a shitload of pot for the first couple of months. And that got me through. I was also building guitars. I was building guitars and smoking weed, and that was working for me. But in the back of my mind, I'm hearing those 12 steppers and constantly thinking, is this recovery? My life's getting better. Everything's getting better, but I'm smoking this joint. Well, you know, it didn't occur to me till much later that recovery really has very little to do with abstinence. Um, it's I don't think much at all, really. Um, but it was working for me. About a year after that, the weed started giving me anxiety real bad, so it wasn't wasn't a positive thing in my life anymore. So I had to quit doing that. And I still smoke every now and then. I might take a hit or two, or if I go out singing karaoke, I might drink a beer or two. There are some of us that can, there are some of us that can drink a beer or smoke a joint from time to time without it leading to disaster. The dangerous part is finding out if you're one of them.
Yeah.
But for me, I had tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed so many times that I knew what my triggers were, and weed wasn't one of them. With drinking, that's a tricky one. Uh, I don't. I've got kind of ground rules with the drinking where I won't drink alone, and I won't drink with somebody else that's in active use because I'll end up using right next to them if I'm drunk and they're sitting there using. But and I don't really get drunk because shit, I'm 45 years old. That shit hurts for too long now. It's just not worth it. So anyway, it's been 3.5 years since I've had a problem with any substance at all. Uh, and that can be tricky with my never use alone thing. I guess to tell you something about that. Uh, let's see, it was September of 2019. I helped run a support group for people with substance use disorders on Facebook. And a guy had lost a friend the night before. And apparently the guy had used while he was alone and there was nobody there to call for help. And so he posted on the group, he said, I lost my friend last night. If any of you guys are going to use while you're alone, here's my phone number. Call me, and I'll stay on the phone with you while you use. And if you go get pass out or whatever, I'll get you some help. And I thought, well, why can't we do this on a large scale? And I got to looking to see if there was already anything like that, and there wasn't. And it seemed so simple, and I couldn't understand why has nobody done this yet. And I thought maybe it was legal liability, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that. I figured, what the hell? If I'm gonna do it. And if I go to prison for it, for trying to save somebody's life, go to jail for it, whatever, I'll take that charge probably. So anyway, so I started Never Use Alone. We're on Facebook, and our website is neverusealone.com. The number is 1-800-484-3731.
What's the
And
number?
what we do, 1-800-484-3731. That's our national line. You probably have to see the Utah phone number.
I'm just going to put this in the comments so people can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The national line is 1-800-484-3731. And I can't think of the Utah number offhand, but anyway, when you call, you're going to hear a recording. It's one of our operators made a recording basically saying, what we're going to telling you what the information we're going to ask for. And we're sure to tell you that we cannot guarantee your safety. and we will do everything we can do to get you help in time, but we can't guarantee that that help will get there in time. So it's still very much a use at your own risk situation. But with us on the other end of the phone, you've got a lot better chance of surviving an overdose than you would had you just used by yourself, locked in a bathroom somewhere. But anyway, they'll hear that recording, and then they're connected with an operator. The operator answers. We'll tell them our name. We'll say, like if somebody calls me, I say, "Thank you for calling Never Use Alone. This is Mike. How can I help you?" And we just kind of talk. I'll ask them for their first name. They can give me a fake name if they want to. I don't care what name they give. Um, we don't save or share anybody's information anywhere. But anyway, we get their name, their exact location, what room they're in, county, state, zip code, all that, and we ask for the phone number they're calling from, so we can call them back if we happen to get disconnected. After we've got all that information, we start searching for the ambulance. We don't like to call 911 because if I call 911 from here in Michigan, I can't really connect with 911 in Los Angeles. But so we'll start Googling for an ambulance service in their area. But while we're doing that, we tell them to go ahead and do your thing. Just let me know exactly when you're done. The second you're done, let us know. And once they do their thing, they shoot or snort or whatever they're doing. I've had people call and they're boofing it. It's there's a lot of different ways people use drugs and a lot of different drugs they use. But anyway, they tell us when they're done, and then we just kind of chat for 10 or 15 minutes, make sure they're all right. If they start sounding real slurry or mumbly, we'll keep them on the line. Sometimes I've been on there for an hour just to make sure they're going to keep talking. If they keep talking, they're alive, they're breathing, they're fine. But if they stop responding, we we'll keep trying to communicate with them for 30, 45 seconds. I'll yell their name. If they don't respond in 30, 45 seconds, we go ahead and call and get an ambulance to them. But so many people use when they're alone. That's how we're losing so many people, man. They use when they're alone. I can't tell you how many friends I've lost that used while they were alone and just figured out it won't happen to me. I know how much I can use. I know what my tolerance is. Oh, it's this friggin' fentanyl and carfentanil and all this. What's that new one? Brorphine or something. But with all this stuff coming around these days, you don't know how much you take, especially with all that fentanyl and that shit. The smallest little bit can kill you. So just don't use alone. All the operators that Never Use Alone, we are all people with lived experience. We've all been through it. One of our operators has a child that's in active addiction, but so she doesn't have personal experience with the drugs, but she does have an understanding of how it all works. So we all understand. We've all been there. Nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to shame you. We're not affiliated with any law enforcement agency, no treatment center. We're never going to push you to go to rehab. We're not going to, none of that. We're not going to judge, shame, preach. We're just here to keep you alive. But yeah, so if somebody does call and they express interest in getting some help and trying to quit, well, I've got resources in every state in the U.S. or a friend in that state that can guide them in the right direction. Well, if they're ready to quit, we'll help them to quit, but we're not going to push that on anybody. So, yeah, just if you're going to use when you're alone, call us. We are in the process of starting a separate line for every state in the U.S., but you can call that national number there, the 484-3731 number, and that'll connect with.
I put it in there wrong. Of course, there it is. I added an extra zero.
Yeah, it's that's our national line. Anybody in the U.S. can call that line. There's an organization in Canada that is starting a Canadian national line.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And then there's an organization that contacted me from Australia, France, and oh, well, there's another country. I forget. But anyway, there's 3 or 4 other countries that have contacted me about starting one there too. So this thing all started from a guy making a post, and now there's people doing this in other countries and shit. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of that. But yeah, just if you're gonna use your loan, call us. Especially me, shit. I don't care what you do, really. I'm not gonna judge you for it. I just want to make sure you're alive to try and find your path to recovery one day. A lot of people aren't here because they felt that stigma and shame of using or relapsing. There's unfortunately people relapse, and if they're in a 12-step program, they get judged and shamed, and it's just horrible. And you guys on MAT, it's working for you. Keep doing it, man. I don't care how you get there. Just go. If you're smoking weed to keep yourself alive, to keep a needle out of your arm, fucking glad it's working for you, dude. I don't do the 12-step thing. I don't shame anybody. None of us do. I don't think any of our operators are in the 12-step program. I don't think so. But and if anybody's interested in volunteering as an operator, you can go to our website at neverusealone.com, click on About, and then Volunteer. You can fill out a little application form. We don't allow anybody that works for a treatment center. They can't volunteer with us because we don't want it turning into a fishing lure for some
Yeah.
treatment center. So, but yeah, I mean that's nothing against anybody that works for a treatment center, obviously, but we just don't want anybody kind of feeling pushed into treatment or a treatment center using it like a fishing lure. I can't imagine having one of those recovery guru guys. You know what I'm talking about. But having one of those guys as an
They're
operator would
all
be like,
over.
yeah, he'd be asking for your insurance numbers and all that craziness. But
And they exploit people, and it's
oh, man.
it's pretty ugly. It neverusealone.com.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's amazing to me how many people follow those recovery gurus as if they're saviors. And when you try and tell these people what these people are really doing, they get mad at you and just
Oh,
claim
dude,
I'm a hater, that I'm
it's like
jealous or
it's
whatever.
like you're crucifying Jesus on the cross. Yeah, I
Yes,
know.
it's crazy. I mean, I'm not going to say any of their names, but
I got 5 right here that I already know who you're gonna say.
yes,
They
yes,
get filtered
all the
into
big
our group,
guys.
and I have to keep pushing them out.
Yeah, all the
It's
big
just
guys.
unfortunate. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I mean, we all need to make a living, you know, but
yeah,
but making a living exploiting somebody, and like you and I are all about obviously not being anonymous,
all
and
right.
this isn't to shame or blame or be negative,
Mm,
but we're into sharing. It's like going down to feed the homeless and do needle exchange and video recording each person on there to show people who,
yeah,
that whole exploiting them
look
in
how
their
nice
personal
I
space.
am. Yeah, look how
Yeah.
good I am. Yeah,
Yeah, look,
uh,
I just went and Narcaned one of the guys and there's a difference between not being anonymous and exploiting people's privacy,
right,
you
right.
know, and
Yeah.
so how
See,
many
Joe.
volunteers? We got Joel over here. Joel was the one who did um, our first thing. He's from Canada, so he wants to
Okay.
get some
Yeah,
information on the Canada hotline.
sure, Joel.
Joel's
If you
really
go
awesome.
to brave.coop, that's brave as BRAVE .coop. They're the organization starting the Canadian national line. They also have an app called Be Safe that does basically what we do, but it's through an app. That's a pretty cool thing. You got to check into that too. But there's also an organization called Grenfell Ministries in Ontario. They run an Ontario-based overdose prevention line too. So if you're in that area, you can check with them um, and see what they can do, or if they're needing help. I know every now and then I share posts on our Never Use Alone page from there, and where they're needing operators. So they may be needing anybody if you're in that area.
How many volunteers would you say you guys have right now?
Right now, I can't know. We probably got 50,
Oh
50 or
wow.
60. Yeah. Throughout the different state lines. I think we've got the national line and then 9 or 10 states started so far. So with all of them together, I think we've got 50 or so. But on the national line, we have 15 just on that line. And how it works is it can be routed to cell phones and whatever. So when you call, it'll ring the first number on the list for 30 seconds. If that person doesn't answer, goes to the next
Roll
person
over.
for 30 seconds. Yeah. So if you do call, it can sometimes takes a couple minutes to get an operator on the line. Because it routes to cell phones, if we set it to ring all phones at once, it's always caused a lot of problem.
Yeah.
We just leave it to the rotating thing. And yeah, we got 15 on the national, and like I said, I think 50 or 60 all together, covering all the states. And we'll probably end up with, to run 50 states, we'll need probably 250, 300 maybe. And the number of applications we get, we'll have no problem filling that. I
Yeah.
mean, I was really excited to see how many people were interested in getting involved in
I
this.
was shocked to hear, because I had heard we have Cheyenne, who's been a part of that for a while, and Billy, and I think Carrie's on there now. And there's a whole bunch of, Utah loves it. Well, Cheyenne's not from Utah anymore, but they love it. They've done a lot of great work. I've heard some really beautiful stories. How many people would you say, how many on an average night? You probably collect a tiny bit of data, like on an average in a 24-hour period, or how many people are calling in, would you say?
It varies. One week or one day we might not get any calls, but it's rare that we don't get any calls. But one day we might get 5 calls, the next day we might get 30. And sometimes I'll be on a call with somebody, and it's beeping in with somebody else calling. It's sometimes it gets pretty hectic, but it's just hit or miss. I don't know. I can't really tell what. It does seem to be a little more active on the weekends. But as drug users, we're gonna use all day, every day. So
yeah.
But it just varies, and I think a lot of people are skeptical to call.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have trusted a service like this either when I was using.
Different.
Yeah, it's just
like
weird.
Harm reduction. It's different.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's something different for sure. But
I've had a couple people call and tell me that they use the people that I'm working with and helping, and they said, "Well, I used the Never Use Alone line last night because I was scared, and nothing had happened." But they said how nice they were and how they just most of us that are at that part, psychosis is real. Calling a stranger is not something nobody wants to do. You either really want to talk or you just have to talk. But it's scary, and so you're building trust.
Yeah. A lot of times when people call, they'll say, "You're not going to send the police or anything, are you?" And no, we're not here to get you in trouble, man. We just, we want to keep you alive. That's all. Now that's one thing I get asked a lot is, how do we ensure that the police don't show up with the ambulance? Unfortunately, we can't guarantee that, but we do try to avoid triggering a police response when we call the ambulance or whatever we're connecting with in that area. Some states you have to call this place, or some states call that place. But when we do call, we say that a person called our crisis line and then became unresponsive. So that way, a lot of times if you mention drugs or overdose or any of that, police are automatically going to go and try to get a bust.
Yeah.
So we try to avoid any police contact. But unfortunately, we just can't guarantee that they won't show up. It's different
Yeah.
in every state. Some go automatically. Some go if they get the idea that there might be drugs involved or whatever. But
Yeah.
we try to keep them out of the picture. We obviously don't want anybody arrested. We're not here to get you in trouble. We're just here to keep you alive. That's it. But
That
yeah,
was
it's
some of the
mostly,
beautiful stories that you had. Well, not beautiful. I mean, saving people, because
just
I would love to hear that. I know you posted about it the other day, and it was,
yeah, that was
it's a
man, it was an
miracle.
amazing experience. Still, it was kind of well, not kind of shit. It was really traumatic. But the guy was snorting heroin, and I don't think he was waiting long enough or something. He'd only been back to using for like 2 weeks or something. But he just one minute he was there, and I could hear him like chopping shit up or something, and the next minute he was not responding. I was hearing these weird sounds like he was vomiting or seizing or something. I couldn't tell what it was, but he wasn't responding to me saying his name. So I grabbed my other phone and I called the ambulance service in that area, and that guy didn't give a shit. He just basically told me it's not my problem, call somebody else. Told me to call 911. I said, man, I'm in Michigan. This guy's in wherever state. And I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. So I called 911 here, and I had two phone numbers written down for the ambulance. So I called 911 here, and they're looking for a number in that area for me. So on my girlfriend's phone, so I've got three phones going at this time. On my girlfriend's phone, I called the second number I had listed, and they were finally able to get an ambulance to the guy. But when he went out, he just dropped his phone or left it on the table or whatever, and so I could hear him. I could hear all this shit going on, and the ambulance guys walk in, and most bothersome thing about it really is when they walked in, I heard one of them laugh. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. I heard one of them laugh. But I don't know who it was that picked up the guy's phone, but they said, I said, is this guy all right? Is he going to make it? He said, well, it's not looking good, but he is alive. He's not responsive, but he does have a pulse. After they'd Narcaned him and did all that, but so they were going to take him to the emergency room and like I said, because he wasn't unresponsive, or he was unresponsive, and they were going to take him to the ER and keep working on him. So I sat there for 3 hours just going crazy, thinking, man, I don't know if this guy's alive or dead. I don't know if he made it or not. So I texted the guy through our Never Use Alone control panel thing. Texted him from our toll-free number, and he responded, said, I'm alive, thank you. I tell you what, that was
Praise
better than any
Jesus.
drug I've ever done. Better than any drug I ever did. It was the
Yeah.
most amazing feeling. But and I don't know. I don't know if it was really the cannabis that helped me get through all this, or if it was the feeling you get when you can help somebody. I have a purpose now. I have something to be proud of. I didn't have any of that kind of shit back then. I didn't have any anything. I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have anything to be proud of, and I think that's a huge part of recovery is finding a purpose and doing something you're proud of. So, if you're into helping veterans, you're into animals, volunteer for an animal shelter, or a homeless shelter, or a veterans service, or volunteer. Get out there and do something that you can be proud of, and have some pride in you. And you'll be amazed how much easier it makes things. I can't imagine getting back into that life and ruining, well, not necessarily ruining, but jeopardizing what I've done. I can be proud of the things I do today rather than hiding them and being ashamed of it.
Yeah.
I think that's hugely important. It's finding a sense of purpose and pride.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
found we used to have a guy who when we had started doing this, and not this group, but we had started originally, with a different organization. And every time he would go and share his story, or we would do a public speaking group or a recovery message, whatever it was, he would always end it with telling everybody, that's what gives him purpose, is being able to help somebody whatever way it works. And I believe this, just as you said it, you get a high you've never experienced before. And the spiritual high that you get after a good day of needle exchange, or for us going out and giving clothes and feeding the homeless, or a mom, you get that phone call of the mom who got to have Christmas with her children because she got them back because you provided I got chills just saying that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
Those highs, I mean, I hope and pray I don't ever have to go back down to where I was, because I know if I go back, I don't know if I come back.
Right.
But the thought of giving up that joy and spiritual high you get from helping people to misery, I mean, I wish everybody in the world could just feel how good it feels.
Oh, I know. It's an amazing feeling. I get messages from people that telling me, thank you for the Narcan. I saved a guy's life last night. Blah blah blah. I still I mail my old plug in Tennessee. I mail him a lot of different supplies and stuff. And he every now and then he'll tell me, all the stuff you sent me was used to save 100 people. I need more. But it's just amazing. And that's, having Narcan naloxone distribution is great. But until we get it into the hands of the people that really need it, I mean, it's great if the soccer mom has a thing of Narcan in her car. But what about the guys on the corner that are shooting the dope? They don't have it. Yeah, they need it. And like 75% of overdose reversals are done by bystanders or the drug user's friends, the people they're with. It's not the police and ambulance. They're doing about 25% of it. Most of it is coming from the person's friend or family or bystander. So it's, a lot of people ask, well, why do you need to give it to them? The ambulance has it, the police have it. Well, takes them too long to get there. If you got the bystander, they're just walking by, that's got it in their purse. They can save them if their friend has it, and or if they have it. It's a lot quicker that way. Yeah. And time is not on our side in those situations. Yeah. But it's an amazing, amazing feeling. Like I said, there's no drug ever made me feel that good.
No, I agree. I agree. What would you say, like, your best advice would be to somebody who, like, there's probably I think we start as my brain starts to think really fast. I'm going to spit it out. The best piece of advice that you have that maybe other people could use when they're trying to use the harm reduction approach. Well, just to hope that you could share with somebody, who might want to find recovery at some point, because like, obviously we know this is about planting the seed, and maybe like something somebody may have told you once, or something you might tell everybody that, when you're out, just spreading the love to them,
I think the biggest thing is we're creating too many barriers. Society thinks that, if you've got a drug problem, you're supposed to go to rehab, then get out, go to meetings, live like a monk for the rest of your life, and follow the steps. It's not like that anymore. I mean, that's great for those people that does work for. I mean, if 12-step programs are working for you, fucking A, keep doing it. Proud of you. But if MAT, if Suboxone, if methadone, if cannabis or kratom, any of that, if that's working for you, ignore the people that give you shit about it. They don't have to live your life. I think that's the most important thing really right now, is just allowing people the freedom to recover however the hell they need to recover. just let them do it. I mean, you know, the definition of recovery, SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, released a definition of recovery, and I'll have to look it up here again. It's there it is. The definition of recovery from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration: a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Doesn't say shit about abstinence, doesn't say shit about the steps, how many steps you've done, how many days clean you have. None of that. If you're able to progress in life while smoking a joint, if you're able to progress with Suboxone, methadone, great. What? I, I don't know
Sorry.
what. No problem. But,
Somebody was at my door.
oh, okay. But yeah, I think that's really the biggest message, is just allowing people the freedom to recover however the hell they need to. We're far too judgmental. And unfortunately, the majority of the judgment and shame comes from the abstinence program people. They shaming, putting these memes on Facebook about people on Suboxone or methadone, how they shouldn't be claiming that they're clean, or that's not real recovery or whatever. Well, I know too many people that were pushed to get off their medications, and they're now dead because they tried to get your real recovery. I don't think that's the abstinence they were looking for, but I have some resentment toward those type of people. I had a guy when I was in the program wouldn't sponsor me because I was on Cymbalta. Pushed me to get off of Cymbalta, and he did that to another guy who had a lot of mental wellness issues. And that guy ended up, he stopped taking his medications to have real recovery. Shot himself 2 weeks later. So, those people in the program playing doctor, they need to quit.
Yeah.
Another important thing that I want to tell everybody was naloxoneforall.org. You can go there and order naloxone for free anywhere in the country. They'll mail it to you. Naloxone for all. Let me make sure I think it's .org.
Is that the one that you sent me before?
Probably.
Yeah. Oh, that one's great. I have so many people. Naloxone for all.org.
Org. Yeah. Yeah. You can go there and order naloxone, which is the injectable version of Narcan. You can order that, and they'll train you right there on the website. A little video. I think it takes 3 or 4 minutes of the video. You watch that video, and click a little thing saying that you watched the video, and they'll mail you. I can't remember how many doses it is. I think it's like 6 doses or something.
Yeah,
but it's totally free. Yeah, it's totally free. You don't even have to pay for shipping. They'll mail it to you anywhere in the country, and they can help you connect with a harm reduction organization within your state or in your area. And if you're wanting to, they got harm reduction resources on their website for, I believe, every state now.
Yeah.
But they're a great program. They're actually the ones that got me started in harm reduction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Jamie Favoro sent me, it was like 300 doses of Narcan or something, and got me started into the distribution. And when you start getting messages about my son or my friend is alive because of the Narcan you gave me, man,
it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. I've got a lot of messages from people that were thanking me for helping them, directing them to a treatment program or something, and that's great. But when you start hearing messages that I'm alive because of what you did, that's just huge. Yeah. And it's it's like I said, there's no high like it, no other drug like it. I want more of that.
Yeah. When we had first had some of our, in a different organization we were with, we had all gone and did naloxone training here, and we were so excited. We brought it back to our group, and we did the training for our group and gave everybody at our meeting some naloxone. And the very next day we had somebody call us and say, oh my God, I've used my daughter's friend overdosed in my bathroom, and praise. I mean, if we got that one life saved out of that training for the rest
Absolutely.
of my life, I mean,
Yeah.
I want to save a lot more, but
Yeah.
that was like
You
the
know, I don't,
experience we all needed.
yeah, I don't, if you try to if you try to convince like if I go to a 12-step meeting and I try to give them Narcan, you would think I'd walked in there with a jug of whiskey and a box of crack or something. I mean, they're just so many of them are so against that. I don't understand that. But
Yeah.
I think it's so important for if I mean you've got a meeting there where people are coming that I mean your hope is that they're not using obviously, but the reality of it is a lot of them are coming in there and they're high. They're gonna they might overdose right there on the floor. They might. It's a possibility. Narcan doesn't get you high. You can't abuse it. And if if you're not overdosing and somebody gives it to you, maybe you're having a diabetic attack or something. I don't know. But if you go unconscious and they give you Narcan, it doesn't do anything. It's not going to hurt you. Doesn't have any adverse effects that might interact with something else. The only thing it's interact with is opioids and opiates. It'll reverse an overdose. And like I said, if you're not overdosing, somebody Narcans you, not going to hurt you. If you are overdosing and they Narcan you, you're going to wake up sick as sick, sick, sick. But you'll be alive. So I think it's important for every meeting to have some Narcan on hand. And if you're here in Michigan, get a hold of me and I can help you out with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this was really awesome. I don't know if there's I think we touched on a lot of really great stuff. I think that what you're doing is amazing. I think we're just at a different age and time, where, you know, 1940s and 70s and even the 80s.
We're taking a huge shift toward treating addiction as a health issue rather than a criminal issue, and I'm so glad to see that. For far too long, I mean, this war on drugs is just ridiculous. It's killed so many people. It's funding cartels. It's the only people who are making money, and the only people it's helping. The only good it's doing is it getting the cartels rich. That's all the drug war is doing. Um, they're going to more potent drugs because if let's say the heroin, you got to ship it $2,000, whatever, comes in a box this big. Why not ship something like the fentanyl where you can fit $2,000 in that, and then you can get a lot more in a lot tighter space. So the more potent they can get a substance, the more easily they can get it across. So we're getting all these crazy, powerful drugs, and it's all this friggin' drug war bullshit.
Well, it is, and it's scary. Well, and the scarier part is young or old. I know some 19, 20-year-olds who want the pure fentanyl,
Mm-hmm.
and they know, and they want to do a big little ripper, and they know it's going to, and over the summer, I don't know if you guys had this out where you're at, but here in Price out here, they were doing Narcan parties. And so the kids were
I've heard of those.
they were overdosing on purpose.
Are you sure about that? I mean, have you talked to anybody that was actually at one? Because I've heard that. I've always heard that was a myth.
No, we had a girl in Price who there was 2 high schools and the organizations out there couldn't keep Narcan on hand. And, well, I believed her. She said it was here. It was in Price. I mean, I didn't say, Price is far from here. And I just was like in shock. And she was asking me to send them to her because they couldn't get them where they were at, So, and they have a big organization out there that does it. So it's scary, and it's just a scary world we live in today.
Yeah,
and we have
definitely.
do whatever it is to be there.
There's so much misinformation and scare tactics, the media uses. For example, this supposedly cops overdosing by touching fentanyl.
Oh
Total
gosh.
bullshit. Total bullshit. It's scientifically nearly impossible. You would have to set that shit on your hand, stick your hand in a bucket of fentanyl, and leave it there. I mean, with the like even the patches, it
That's
takes
ridiculous.
an hour or whatever to even start working,
That's
and that's
ridiculous.
because it has the patches have a chemical that helps it break the surface and and enter your system. You're not going to overdose. I mean, if you rub it in your mouth or rub it in your eyes or whatever, that might affect you. But these cops are wearing gloves and shit. And they're selling somebody got the idea to sell the police these special gloves so they won't absorb into their hands. Some guy made a lot of money on a bunch of idiots.
Yeah,
But
that's nuts.
yeah, it's you're not going to overdose. If you see somebody that's overdosing, don't be afraid to help them. Don't be afraid to touch them. You're not going to overdose and die by touching fentanyl. If you get some on your hands, wash your hands. You're fine.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's important to know.
yeah. There is a lot of Joel's whole family in Canada is tuning in to watch this. That's awesome. There is a lot of misinformation out there. So
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody believes what they
You
hear.
know, this shit, that fentanyl's killing so many people. I don't blame the police for being scared. Yes, they should be cautious. Cautious. Yes, they should wear gloves. But and you hear about these occurrences, and they're talking about their heartbeat when heart started pounding and they felt tingly and blah blah blah. What they're describing is a panic attack, not an overdose.
Yeah,
It's called the nocebo effect. If
yeah,
they get these, they start thinking that they've ingested fentanyl. They got it on their hands. Oh my God, I'm gonna die
yeah,
because of all this shit they hear on the news.
yeah.
So I don't blame them for being scared, but it's just not a reality. It's I don't. As far as I know, there's never been a proven case that an officer actually overdosed from touching fentanyl. That to where the officer made this claim, and I don't believe that there has ever been a case where they tested the officer and he came up positive for opioids. It's never happened. Um, so it's just a bunch of scare tactics, misinformation, and it's
Well, that's like
ridiculous.
eating a poppy seed muffin, and you've got, now you're going back to prison.
Yeah, yeah,
Like your one bite of a poppy seed muffin is not why your drug test was
right.
dirty. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
let's keep it real. But yeah,
I think we're switching more toward a healthcare outlook on addiction rather than a criminal issue.
yeah,
And if you look at Portugal, they decriminalized all drugs, and their overdose rates and drug use rates dramatically declined.
yeah.
And so, if you're whoever's watching here, just check into the Portugal model. They decriminalized everything, and it made a huge positive impact on their country. So yeah, check that out. And
I watched a
for those
big
of
one of
you,
that, the Switzerland one. I've watched two or three
yeah,
separate documentaries on that too.
mhm.
Um,
And for those of you that are unfamiliar with harm reduction, syringe exchanges, that sort of thing, research that. I mean, there are so many people that I mean, when I first got into it, or when I first heard about it, on the surface of it, it may sound like a crazy idea. Why are you going to give these people syringes? Well, I mean, they're going to use. So if they don't have a syringe, they're going to share their buddies, or they're going to let their friend use theirs, and they're going to end up with Hep C or HIV. And when it comes down to what it comes down to for a lot of the NIMBYs, not in my backyard, when it comes down to those people, most of the time it's about money. And you say, okay, so you got a guy that he just should use somebody else's needle and contracted Hep C. So now taxpayer has to come. It the treatment ends up going to the taxpayer, or you can give them a 7 cent syringe. A syringe. Um, it's a no brainer, really. But
yeah,
yeah, if you're unfamiliar with harm reduction methods, research it. Go to the CDC, go to the National Institute of Drug Administration. Um, go to a reputable source. Don't go to joesblog.com or whatever. But yeah, go to a reputable resource and research those programs. The CDC, the NIDA, the shit, all of them, all the big organizations, all support the Surgeon General, all support syringe exchange programs because they work. Um, with syringe exchange programs, a person who partakes in those is 5 times more likely to quit injecting drugs and 3 times more likely to enter treatment than those who don't. So we're not encouraging or enabling drug use. If anything, we're encouraging recovery and encouraging health and wellness. So, yeah, there's so much people don't understand it. You know, it's like you said earlier, people fear what they don't understand. So please research these programs. You research safe consumption sites. We need those in every state, city, big city in the U.S. And I hope that someday soon we have them, but you know, it's such a slow process. In Philadelphia, they were so close to opening one up, and then the community went kind of shit all over that. And now they're arguing. Well, not arguing, but they can't reach an agreement of what location they're going to open in. You know, they decide on this location, and that community says, nope, not in our backyard. And so they decide on this location. Well, nope, not in our backyard. You have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Not in my backyard. It just keeps being pushed around. And,
Yeah.
but and if there's anybody out there that wants to get involved with the like a never use alone type thing, start a small one for just your city or your state or whatever. We don't compete with anybody. This is not a competition. So if you're going to start one in your city or state, message our page or post it on our page or whatever, and we'll help promote it for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I know for sure as this kind of goes through Facebook and whatever. I mean, I hope a lot of people, my hope and goal with having you on here was to open people's minds to exactly that, to understand what they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we're in a crazy time today, and there's people dying all over the country and all over the world. And you know, once COVID is over, addiction's still going to be here, and there's still going to be people dying, and harm reduction still going to be happening. And never use alone, the phones are still going to be ringing. You know,
we've seen a big increase in calls from this COVID thing, and
I'm sure.
And you know, the overdose numbers are just through the roof this year so far. I believe in some states it's up like 75% or something. I mean, it's just ridiculous how many people are, because of this isolation. And you know, people are out of jobs now, and depression and anxiety are huge triggers for a lot of people. A lot of calls we get are from people that say, you know, I was in recovery for whatever amount of time, but I just started using again, so I wanted to call and make sure I don't overdose and die. A lot of our calls are from people that were in recovery.
I didn't even put those together. Well, I know from the work I do, there's been a lot of, as soon as the toilet paper started coming off the shelf, and high strung, I don't mean high strung because that's negative, but people with anxiety. And the fear, again, here we are, fear of the unknown. They went straight into drinking, straight into relapse. You know, there's people MIA, people, you know, back here on North Temple. We're looking for people. People are missing. It's just been,
it, you know, taking away the meetings, taking away jobs, taking away money, taking away everything is not good. I mean, yes, COVID's real. Yes, people are getting sick and dying from it. But, you know, you can wear a mask and wash your hands to prevent that. But, you know, so many more people are dying of substance use throughout this virus. You know, and that nobody's talking about that. You know, the numbers are just going through the roof. Far more people are dying of overdose than they are COVID because of the restrictions that we've placed on everybody. And I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know what what we got to do about this COVID thing. I'm not a epidemiologist or whatever they're called,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know, but we got to do something.
Yeah.
But
I know.
until we have safe consumption sites, until we can go out in the world freely again, call our no use loan line if you're going to use while you're alone. Like I said,
Yeah.
we're not going to shame you, judge you, preach at you, none of that shit. We'll just sit and talk to you. You know, it's a lot of in those calls. I have some of the coolest conversations with people.
Oh,
I
I
meet
bet.
some of the coolest
Oh, I
people.
bet.
Yeah,
Oh, I
man. It's
bet.
and you know, another thing, uh, people have the misunderstanding that a person that uses a substance has a problem with that substance. That's not always the case. I get a lot of calls from people. Like one guy called, and he 1 week out of the year he'll shoot heroin for 1 week, and then the
Huh.
rest of the year he doesn't use it. His wife knows. She leaves him Narcan. And now that he's got never used alone, she's a little more comfortable. But another guy uses on the weekends. Uh, Another guy, what was I forget what his story was, but yeah, not everybody that uses a drug has a problem with it. You know,
Yeah. Well, there are those who get to, you know, do it
yeah, I
responsibly,
don't
I
care.
guess.
Yeah, shit, I never could, but you know,
Not
while I was
me.
using,
I do
I had a friend that,
a little bit of my poison, and I don't come home for 3 months.
right,
And I
right,
can't
me
stop the
too.
time in jail. That's just
Yeah,
my story, you
yeah,
know.
I had a friend
Oh,
that when I was using, he was able to shoot Dilaudid on the weekend, and that was it. I never understood that.
huh.
Yeah, amazed the shit out of me, man.
Yeah.
I wish I could have done that.
Yeah. That's crazy. That
Yeah,
wasn't for me.
I don't know how to do it,
Well,
but
thank you, Mike.
there are aliens out there that can use
Yeah, yeah.
heroin
My story.
successfully.
I have to, for me, I've got to do abstinence because I tried, but we talked about that before. This
Yeah.
was awesome. We're almost at an hour and a half.
Oh
I
yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
no, it's good. I could listen to you for hours. This has been really educational for me and for, for any of the viewers that will watch it or chime in. I just really appreciate you, taking time out of your night. It's late there. Is it what, like 11 now, your
Yeah,
time?
yeah, almost. Yeah,
It's late.
that's all
So,
right. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate you and you do really great work. And us here in Utah, I mean, the amount of people whose lives have been helped by what you've created has been beautiful and it'll continue to be helpful and we're going to keep sharing it out, so just thank you for your work. It's
Ain't no
appreciated
problem.
and it's an honor to have you on here with us.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
This will keep us on, I think.